Gay marriage is an evolution. We've come to this place not suddenly but gradually. We evolved to this place. I recall, and the enemy basically has been working on so many things. They're now coming on stream, and gay marriage is right here now. How did we come here? We of course forgot what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. People are not alluding to that. They're talking in terms of this is something new. It's newer than computers and all that. No, we had gay marriage way back in Sodom and Gomorrah, and the guys even wanted to marry Jesus and angels, and of course they were blinded and the whole city was burnt up. And so what the enemy has done, he has done a variety of things that brought us to where we are today. I recall in my experience in the 60s, you had unisex, where they started to blur the sexes, and you have political correctness, and you have other things that have made gay lifestyle acceptable, and so on. They come up with also genetic things. They're saying that some people saying they're born this way, and others are saying that when conception happens, the sex of the child is determined during the 9 months of gestation, probably 4 weeks after or something like that. And then also they say that gay men have larger brains. Now, I don't know, I can't remember what they said about lesbian brains, but they're saying gay men have larger brains, and I'm not sure. Okay, now how can they say that my brain is small or large? I mean, each person is unique, and you can't say that my brain is the way it is and it's not big or small. I mean, what's the criteria to say that it's small or large? Even if there's a statistical thing in which so many, the difference doesn't mean nothing, it seems to me. I've learned in college that men have the option, or they have the capacity or the ability to generate boys or girl offsprings. The women have the X chromosome and the men have X or Y. Now, I understand when it's XX, it's a girl, and when it's XY, it's a boy. But they're saying that, and they change it so as to make it acceptable, and so Gaga and others are saying we're born this way. Just recently, a member of Congress, he said his son said that he's gay and he was born this way and he can't help it and all this stuff, and then there we go. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care. I mean, if a guy wants to marry a guy, I have no problem with that. If a woman wants to marry another woman, I have no problem with that. It's not going to affect me one way or another. I'm not interested in that. You know, they could do what they want, no problem. But from a public, in other words, what would a nation want from its citizens? Nations, in fact, God has ordered man to multiply and replenish the earth. And it's not only Adam and Eve who were to generate enough offspring so as to replace Satan, because they were just man was created a little lower than the angels, and when that number had reached, they would have become angels had they passed the test and the whole 9 yards. So because they failed, God went ahead and created a new world, put in some humans over there, and they passed the test, and so Satan and his angels are permanently replaced. So all of us have this command to go on and multiply and replenish the earth. And you know, you look at young people, we are older, see them, you know, excited and trying to get together and trying to have these babies and all that, and you're saying, oh boy, there we go. You know, it's something seems to be built in now. After a woman reaches a certain age, she starts doubting it and doesn't want to do that anymore, and so forth. And you know, as you get older, you're thinking in terms of genetic problems, and kids might be born with diminished capacity, etc. So when two men get together and two women get together, they can't fulfill God's command, and for a public policy point of view, what's the point? I mean, here is a guy or two guys or two girls, and they need social security and a whole bunch of other benefits, which are like a pyramid. So many people supporting the check that one person will get, and it's only fair if one will also contribute to kids and help them to live and develop themselves so they could have a job and they could have a serious life, not criminal and causing more problems, but be productive so that they could end up supporting you as a person, through the government, Medicare and taxes and Social Security and a whole bunch of goodies that people have. So I'm not sure, what is the government's policy here, whether they think that we have enough citizens and then we could import immigrants as opposed to having every American go out there and try to start a family so as to have kids and offspring, so that we can have born in America, second generation Americans that will be loyal to America, as opposed to bringing in foreigners that are trying to repatriate all the money and bring up the whole family and just come to get the benefits and the whole 9 yards. And so we've come to this point where they call them paradigm shifts, and there are so many things in the flux right now that all these things to me tending to signal that we're coming to a critical juncture, probably the end of time or something like this. Because if everybody were to marry their own sex, then the society will die, because we will have kids. People will have problems because men and women bring different gifts and talents and resources to the marriage. And when two come together of the same sex, they're just having two of the same resources and the whole 9 yards, talents, everything. So that women have a different perspective on life. Men too. You're planning to have a home. The guy can think in terms of, man, I want to get on the highway quick to get a job, and I could run around this and that and all that stuff, and a nice car, etc. But the woman is studying that it might be nice to live close by schools, by hospitals, by the grocery store. She has a different perspective. The guy isn't thinking like that. Two women will be thinking the same way. The other one won't be thinking in terms of, I need to get close to the highway. It can't think like a man. A man can't think like a woman. You see, I don't understand. We're taking a lot of things for granted, in which, and so even if they find compatibility, you can find that at the end of the day, there will be lacking. They will have a lot of, because a man can't meet a man's need. Women said, what women want, and therefore, we can be able to give one another. Now, it's not only, stimulation and whatever else they need, but the way a man smells, his voice, the way he looks, his strength, all these things add to the experience. And we know there are dildos out there, but that's not all to the human experience. And so theoretically, you'll find that both men and women who live with their own sex are going to be disadvantaged, because a man goes home, he feels a certain way, and his images of such. The woman, with her inspiration and the angels and the Holy Spirit, are going to give her a script to go and play with him, and this is what he needed. It mightn't be sex, it might be just to watch him or listen to him, just to touch him, just to smile, maybe just to ask him to do something masculine for you. Come help me with a couple of things, honey, or whatever. And then of course the man needs a woman who would be the tender touch of a woman. I mean, a man is big and strong like an elephant, he could do all this, but a woman's touch is going to make a big difference. That woman's touch is going to help him to be stronger. It's kind of funny. And in schools now, it seems as if we're teaching kids that, being gay is cool. And if a guy makes a joke and saying, my friend here, this guy likes this other one over here, the whole situation will be encouraging and say, okay, go out for a date, try it, see what will happen, And I mean, man, this thing is so sad. Because just as how women are trying to go into the military and doing a whole bunch of things today, I mean, civilizations have gone through that before. Abraham and the Jews know about the Sodom and Gomorrah, so I'm not sure if they're going there big scale, but we seem to have forgotten. They make sure that we don't have a good education, so we don't know these things, we don't believe in the Bible, we don't believe in religion, etc., to the way where it will guide our lives, because many people are saying, I'm gay, and I'm Christian, and I'm in this church. Well, God already says that certain people will be out of heaven, and that's one of the categories. In fact, he also says that because people will not accept him and worship him as God, he's going to allow the devil to take over their lives, and he's going to make them to have various desires which can harm themselves. The same sex, they're going to be, a variety of things, drug users, drug dealers, murderers, a whole bunch of things, and these people will be outside of the garden. So, in short, I really, I'm not the government, and while you would like to see things go a certain way, hey, if so on, or marry and so forth. You know, that's it. What we need to remember though is that in the past, people tried all these things, and we look at the Middle East and we say, and Africa, why do they do things like that? Why do women don't get a life and go to work? Well, they had that going. They had women kings, and they had women doing some important things, but they discovered that the best thing that a woman might be able to do is to do the things that their women are doing. And then we in the West, they think that, oh, they should liberate the women. But, I mean, they went through what we've gone through, and the way they're doing it is what experience and culture has shown. So, maybe we're going to come to a place, and if we were to go through this crisis, everything collapsed and we were to start over, you know, we'd be just like Middle East and just like Africa and India. We'd be doing things traditionally because we saw where these things definitely didn't work. So be careful now.